Well, good morning and happy Monday. It's March 23rd, 2020. It's about 11 o'clock in the morning. We just came back from what turned out to be an extremely short walk because it's threatening, overcast, and it started to drizzle, rain somewhat. And I say we because it was our friends and Leslie and myself taking a walk, which was really strange because it looked like a processional, with each one of us maintaining social distancing as we walked through the neighborhood, trying our best to be safe. And while I was doing that, I kept thinking about this whole notion of kind of the way I see the world. Part of my worldview is I really have always believed in a we us mentality as opposed to an I me mentality. But before we get into that, perhaps I should let you know that this is Journal 306. I'm pretty sure about that. It's also what I believe is T+351, but I just looked at the calendar and realized that I'm probably a couple of days further along than I thought I was, because if we go to April 2nd, even with the leap year, it's probably closer to 350 something more than 351. But I'll do research on that and I'll let you know, because we're sneaking up on the full year regardless. But getting back to this idea of I me versus we us, and what we're going to need to do as a culture, as a society, as individuals to get through this is kind of a combination of both, but it goes way beyond the I me. If you want a good example of I me, you don't have to look any further than the video compilation of spring break participants, young people, with absolutely no regard for their own health, safety, and well-being, nor for the regard of anyone close to them, friends, family, parents, grandparents, brothers, sisters, classmates, whomsoever. It's so compelling. I've actually included the link in the written blog so that you can find it. A good compilation was on an issue of On the Hill, and it's disturbing. I mean, it's really disturbing to think that people could be that cavalier. We live in a community that's a bedroom community outside Los Angeles. For Southern California, it's a rather small community. It's 135,000 people, give or take a few. We just saw this morning that there are 30 known cases in Ventura County, the county in which we live, and 10 in Simi Valley, in the community in which we live. One of whom, by the way, is an 18-year-old community college student. So when you start to recognize who has become, who's come down with this virus, and the nature of the potential population they can infect, it becomes more and more frightening. My favorite quote has always been, just because you're paranoid doesn't mean they're not out to get you. And, it really applies to COVID-19 and the coronavirus. But I really believe that if we're going to get through this with as few casualties as possible, if we're going to rebuild our economy, as we must, it's going to take a combination of I me, but it's only going to be I me in the context of what can I do to survive this and be in a position where I can go ahead and succeed subsequently. And how do I protect myself so that I can serve others? Because you have to put your mask on first, right? Isn't it the first thing they tell you on the airplane? Put your mask on first, then help somebody else. So here we are in a situation where we have to do exactly that. And I think it's important that we don't lose sight of that fact. So you can't be like these college kids at spring break, these high school kids at spring break. You can't be that cavalier. You can't take for granted that you're going to be okay while everybody else is going to suffer. It's a dangerous thing to do. Now, maybe it's because, maybe it's part and parcel of being young and stupid. God knows I was young and stupid at one point in my life. For a long period of my life, I made lots of dumb mistakes. Probably a lot more selfish than I should have been or could have been or had to be. But with wisdom comes age, and you hope that you're going to be able to go ahead and at least plant a seed of awareness of the impact that your actions might have on somebody else. The best way to protect yourself from COVID-19 is to hide yourself from it, to remain in your house, to remain safe, to limit the number of interactions you have with other people. Certainly, if for no other reason, then you have little or no idea who they've been interacting with. You have to remain aware of what's going on in the world around you, but you can't succumb to it. You can't become a victim of it. You have to also be focused on what you have to do, the actions you have to take to get through all of this. So it's okay to be an I, me person to the extent it allows you to be a we, us person, if that makes any sense at all. I don't think it's okay to be an I, me person in the context of spring breakers who really don't care about anybody or anything else other than their own hedonistic self-gratification. And the sense of entitlement that because they worked hard for the last semester, they're entitled to go out and party while the rest of the country is working diligently to try and control the spread of this hideous pandemic that's affected the entire world. We're just at the beginning of this thing, and it's important that everybody recognize that. I got to tell you, if one of my kids was on one of those interviews and I saw that, I'd pull their ass home so quick they wouldn't know what happened to them. And if I was helping support them in college, I think that support would end almost instantly. I am really glad that as far as I'm aware, my kids never, ever did stuff like that. If I were one of the parents that belonged to one of the children that was interviewed, aside from being horribly embarrassed and disappointed, I'd be pissed. I'd be angry, especially if they were planning on coming home and infecting the rest of the family. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Stay well. Take care. That's all for today. Bye-bye.